Berkshire County, and thank you for joining us on iBerkshiresTV. Jeff Sununian here. Today we actually is the first time. I'm surprised it took so long to interview our next guest, because considering what she does and who she represents, you think we would have gotten to it sooner. That's my fault. But I want to thank Erica Girgenti, who's the director of the Adams Council on Aging. You certainly have the most vulnerable subset of society, our seniors, in mind to this whole COVID-19 pandemic. You have them at your forefront anyways, because it's what you do. But now when you go back 4 months, April, May, June, about 4 months,
Yeah.
It must have been incredibly nerve-wracking when you hear that all of these changes, people aren't going to be able to come in the building anymore. How did you handle that first couple of weeks, and what adjustments did you have to make right off the bat?
Well, the very first thing we did was probably kick it up a gear. I mean, we never stopped. If anything, we increased hours, we pushed forward just in the longevity of our day, of our workday. Initially, the town, we were always deemed essential. I fought for that recognition as well, though I have to say in our municipality, I didn't have to fight very hard. We're very well supported in our municipality. But, you know, I made it known that this population is very vulnerable. I was very concerned about those who were not going to be able to come to the senior center, those that we would have met if we were open, but weren't because of this, and wanted to make sure there was a way for people to still reach us. So the town and I sat down and we devised a plan to keep both staff safe and the community safe. Having a young child myself, I actually had to work from home. My outreach worker was in the office, and she was here still 35 hours a week, and in iHome, I'd come into the office when I could. But we really tried to completely segregate ourselves from each other, and not share any working spaces and things like that, not share phones, computers, anything. And the same with my transportation. We actually never stopped providing transportation to people. So first, geared up with phone calls. Let's call everybody, see where they're at, get a pulse on our community and the few thousand people we have in our database. And we utilized some volunteers from that who would have come into the senior center. It still gave them a sense of belonging and opportunity to give back and reach our community members. So we used them, we used their staff. We dived right into Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting with agencies across the community, with the Northern Berkshire Emergency Operational Center, with Berkshire Community Action, just different other support community agencies, as well as Massachusetts Councils on Aging, and found out where everybody else was, where we fit as a role, where we could pick up the slack for other communities that might needed some assistance, and just filled the gap where we could, really.
Yeah, I think it's easy to, when you think of emergency services, so to speak, obviously police, fire, ambulance are the first ones that come to mind. A council on aging and councils on aging in general are vital. They cover everything from serious things like maybe some food insecurity throughout a municipality. Somebody who might be alone, and you said, you mentioned the van had not stopped running. That's amazing. There was no way to get to there would have been no way to get to a doctor's appointment, perhaps, for some members of our community. Councils on aging are, in a way, emergency services, even though they might not hit you like that. They're not the acute emergency service. And speaking actually of food insecurity, you have a food truck every Tuesday. Well, first of all, let's go back a little bit. You offer lunch every day.
We do.
You have offered lunch every day. People come in, sit down. It's a wonderful little room. But of course that changed because people couldn't come in the building anymore. So now, how are you handling that? And talk about that food truck. I'm right across the street in a weird twist of events. Erica and I could probably wave to each other out our windows. We're about 100 feet away on this Zoom meeting. So I do see the food truck there every Tuesday.
We could have did this Zoom meeting from 10 feet apart across the hall and just still did.
We probably could have. And hopefully one of these days we will get back to live meetings, but you're now doing to-go lunches, and every Tuesday you serve literally hundreds of people from the food truck.
Yeah, so it's not quite every Tuesday, but I'll jump back to that in a second. So our lunch program, we didn't skip a beat with that. For those who used our transportation services to get to our congregate meal site program, our community dining center, we got on the phone with Elder Services, said we need to get these guys some emergency home delivered meals. They were fantastic in the service that they delivered. They have an opportunity for individuals who may be in a temporary emergency situation rather, not receive and aren't receiving services to get those home delivered meals without going through the whole rigmarole of setting up services and having client case management come in. So they were able to do that on a temporary basis. And they did that for a handful of people. And then we started to offer, maybe about a week that we didn't, and we started offering what we call grab and go, what you'll see across Berkshire County, a grab and go lunch program. And that just looks exactly like a Meals on Wheels delivery that you might get to your door, but you come to us and get it instead. And it comes prepackaged, vellum tear off top, and they come hot. Today is actually a vegetarian lasagna. Smells delicious, looks good. And the meals have been really great. They always have been great. They continue to be very high quality, and people love a chance to get out of their house, give them purpose, get up, get dressed, let the sun hit their face, see their friends that they would have been dining with from their vehicles. They have to all wait 6 feet apart. Everybody has to wear a mask. And it's only a $2 donation if somebody has it. So that's really nice. Our food truck program that you're talking about on Tuesdays is actually the second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
And so it's not necessarily every Tuesday, and it's not necessarily every other Tuesday, which does confuse people sometimes. Our next one coming up is actually this coming Tuesday, which I believe is the 28th, from 10 to 11. There's the same one in North Adams on the first and third Friday of each month. And that's a program of the Food Bank of Western Mass. We too got on the phone with them and said, how can we still make this happen? We did miss, I think, about a month of that distribution as we tried to figure out what was going to be the best way for us to do this. But I do know that we were one of the first to reopen and came up with a very successful plan with very dedicated volunteers who I really felt like put themselves on the front line to provide this service. Last week we had, I think, 314 households. So it's a pretty intense hour. And we have a pretty well organized system where we use different volunteers for different things to go to the car, do the quick intake, which is basically how many people over your household are 65, under 65, questions like that. And then we bring them a box of fresh produce or frozen meat when we have that available. We have some great donations coming in from the local People's Bakery as well.
Oh, wow.
With some delicious spelt bread. So it's been going really great, really well organized with some very dedicated volunteers. I have about 40 volunteers that run that program.
Yeah, I know a few of them, and I know I'll talk to them after the truck happens, and they just love it. And I think you brought up something very important. You may actually have people that are food insecure and rely on these lunches and meals. Other people just need to be out. They might live alone. They just might need socialization. And I know it's one of the main topics since this whole thing hit. We're all home more. For people that might not live with family, it's a tough thing. So it's a beautiful place to go. I know you have a tent now out back. You still can't go in the building, but you can get your lunch. If you feel like eating it under the tent, you can do that.
Yep.
What's the best way to, and we're going to talk about, somehow you became in charge of the census. I'm not sure how that happened, but we're going to talk about that in a second. But right now, give a couple of key dates of what the best way is to get in touch with the Adams Council on Aging, first of all, but maybe other Pittsfield or Cheshire or whatever it might be. Any key dates and the best way to get in touch with you all if somebody needs assistance?
Sure. So anybody can call if you're looking for the Pittsfield Senior Center's number or somewhere in South County, or just call any senior center and we'd be happy to get you that information. Our phone number I think is pretty easy, especially if you're comfortable with the Adams numbers, the 743 Adams Cheshire numbers. Our phone number is 743-8333. So all you got to remember there is two numbers, 833-333. But we just started bringing out our monthly newsletter again. So we do a newsletter called The Informer. This is available to pick up at the Visitor Center in Adams. We do have it electronically as well. I can email it to you. You can access it on the internet or pick up a hard copy, provide us with stamps, we'll mail one to you. So anything that we have coming up will be in this newsletter. Our phone number is listed on it should you forget it. And that number you'll use for anything. You'll use it if you're interested in getting meals. If you're over 60, doesn't matter how much money you make or how little you make. We'll take your information and we'll get you a lunch. You just tell us what days you want to come and grab that lunch. If you want to participate in any of our programming, you mentioned we do have the tent outside. Berkshire Tents gave us an incredible deal for that tent, a very affordable deal to have that tent for the months of July and August right now. That's sort of as far as we're planning. Come in a few weeks, I suppose, come mid-August, we'll look at what September looks like. We try to mirror a little bit about what our school district does, or the local schools do. So we'll look a little bit about that. We'll look at that setup rather and do our programming around that. I think we're a little different in the sense that we are a senior center, and I'm not eager to welcome people back into the space, but we are taking one-on-one appointments. So if anybody needs to see us for caregiver referrals, information on fall buttons, on support groups, on community programming agencies, health insurance, we can do all of those appointments in-house one-on-one. We have really great splash screens that we set up on our desks so that people feel a little bit more comfortable. Our building is laid out so that we can do a point of entrance that's separate from our point of exit. We have great signage up. So we've put in a lot of things in place to make people feel comfortable. And under that tent, we're doing programs like our chair yoga is back. We're doing that 2 sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. We have a presentation coming up on August 4th with Bain Care, how to prepare for an unexpected hospitalization, particularly in the events that are happening now. How to stay safe during a heat wave is going to be offered by a medicist coming up. I don't have the date for that just in front of me, but it'll all be in our August newsletter. I'd love to be able to provide as many people as we could with that. It's called The Informer, and like I said, it's on the internet as well as here at the Senior Center.
So any information anybody needs, 743-8333, even if you happen to be from another town and you somehow can't find a way to get in touch with your own Council on Aging or Senior Center, the lovely people at the Adams Council on Aging will absolutely help you. And you have 30 seconds. We've had a census. I'll see you one time out socially that you can explain to me how you got put in charge of the census. The census has been out and around now for a few months at least. I did mine online. People got stuff in the mail. But now we're getting down to, you better fill out your census because it affects so many things, social programs, our legislature. Tell us, 30 seconds, what should we expect coming up in the next month with the census? What's the best way to do this?
So on August 11th, you're going to get a friendly visitor knocking on your door, and they're going to be a census taker. They'll be identified as such. It is not a scam. If you have any concerns, call the police department or please call our office. I would be more than happy to help you still do what we can to complete that online or get in touch with the Census Bureau to let you know that you're more receptible to filling that out with the door knocker. But August 11th, the door knockers will come to knock on your door to complete that census. And as you mentioned, I cannot express the severity of how important that federal census is. I beg people, please, if you have not taken it, fill it out. If you have concerns about it, contact me. I'll explain its importance and the protections around its confidentiality. And aside from that, I just want to say that the senior centers across Massachusetts are really model the sharing is caring. If you are not from our community, you can go to our programming. If you are from our community and you see another senior center that's offering something interesting, they have open arms to you as well. So sharing is caring in the model of Council on Aging's, and we welcome anybody while we can.
That's incredible, Erica. I can't thank you enough for joining us. If you don't know, for all our viewers out there, what is up at the Adams Council on Aging, you can go to the Adams website, you can call them, a simple Google search will do it. There are amazing things happening right across the street from me over here this instant. Erica, thank you so much. And who knows, if this thing keeps on going, we will probably have you on again.
All right.
And thank you, and thank you everybody for watching iBerkshiresTV.
Thank you for having me.